go. Here we are, guys. Welcome back to this podcast with your host, Tommy Kende. I'm super excited to be here with you and yap on and talk about some really cool stuff that happens in life. Today, we're going to dive straight into it. Today is the episode around untangling yourself and pretty much coming back into who you really are. Because ultimately, what we're here to do is, well, I believe, I mean, look, in my experience, life is about, you sort of start somewhere as a little kid, as a little baby, and then, you grow up and you're dependent on your parents. And then at some point in life, you stop depending on your parents and you have to work shit out on your own. And that's usually when shit starts to get real. And I believe that from that point, we're moving through an untangling of sorts. We're untangling our body, we're untangling our mind, we're untangling our spirit, and it's this whole bloody reckoning that happens because we start to really experience things in life that are left of center, and we start really experiencing things in life that don't feel that good. And it fucking sucks when shit doesn't work out and when things aren't in flow. And so there's this essence to life which everyone keeps yapping on about, which is you're meant to be in flow, and when you're not in flow, there's something going on. And I mean, look, is it true? Yes. When you're not in flow, then there's shit going on. And I believe that that shit that's going on is the process of untangling. And what we're untangling when we're going through our childhood era, all the way from 4 up till about 10, we start to learn how the world works. We start to learn rules from our parents. We start to learn rules from our peers and what happens at school and what happens at primary school and whatever. And then we start to move into high school and then we learn even more. So I guess the whole first, I reckon, 14, 15 years of our lives is pretty much spent learning what the world should look like and how we're supposed to fit into that world. And that is no fault of our own, because that happens whether we like it or not, whether you do homeschooling or whether you go to an actual school. Like, for example, if you go to an actual school, if you go homeschooling, then you're learning the rules of your parents, or in the village, wherever your homeschooling is. If you're going to school, then you're learning, like outside school, then you're learning the rules of how the teachers, how your friends and whatever at school live their life. And so we're constantly building up this tactic of how to exist in life. And then we get to a certain age where we start to question whether those rules actually fit in with how we're living in the world. And it becomes a process of having to untangle the rules that we've learned, having to untangle how we've been told to fit in with society. And this becomes, when that untangling process starts, and for some people it starts at 20, some people at 30, some people at 40, some people, don't ever go through the untangling process, and they just believe that the rules that have been made for them is how they're going to live out their life, and they keep living those rules up until the moment that they die, and then it's done. And look, do they come back? Who the fuck knows? None of us know unless we've died what's on the other side. So we can all have intuitive ideas about what's on the other side of death, but none of us really know, do we? So when we start that untangling process, that's when life can become incredibly tough, but it can also become incredibly rewarding, because every single time we untangle a part of ourselves, we find some form of little bit of gold. So it's almost like digging for gold when we untangle. And each time we untangle one of those rules, whether we made those rules up for ourselves or whether Others gave us those rules and told us that we have to stick by those rules. When we start to untangle, we're just chopping away another little bit of the mountain and finding a little bit more gold. And it only takes one time to, I'm sure most of you that are listening would have had some sort of aha moment in your life where you realized that something in you is much deeper, much more powerful than the external world giving you what you need, or the first time you've taken responsibility for something that you've done, whether you fucked up or something happened, or the first time you realize that you don't have to constantly defend yourself. And if you just sit back and observe what's going on, it's just as powerful and, well, way more powerful than diving into the fire and fighting people for what the fuck for. When you're fighting, what are you fighting for? You don't even know. You lose yourself in the fight and you're just fighting for the sake of fight, or argue, or being an argument for the sake of an argument. So these little moments when you find gold within yourself, when you start untangling, it becomes so exciting. But this whole untangling process is so fucking strenuous. It's just a never ending untangling, whacking away. And each time you whack away, you're like, oh my God, I found a bigger piece of gold. And then you find that bigger piece of gold, which is ultimately your true essence and your soul, your true power. And then you find that little piece of gold and you're like, oh my God, I think I've got the big nugget. And then you go back and you get pushed back. It's like, you haven't got the nugget yet, mate. You got to keep fucking digging. And when you keep digging, then you find bigger nuggets. And so that's the process. So I believe that there's an actual step-by-step process to untangling ourselves. But what we first have to do, the first step in our untangling method, and this is the method that I'm sort of using with a lot of my clients at the moment, and I'm actually calling it the untangling method. And what the first part of untangling ourselves and starting a proper untangling process is to become aware and just observe what the fuck is actually going on in our life. We have a look around. We take a big step back, like almost like standing on top of a mountain, and we'll look at our valley of life. And we look at the valley of life, and we look around, and we go, okay, look at all these things that are happening in my life right now. Some of them are great. I'm good at those things. Some of them fucking suck. Okay, what do I need to do there? Maybe I need to do a lot. Maybe I need to do nothing. What else is going on here? So the little things, like let's say, for example, we observe the main areas in our life. For example, we observe our physical health. Am I doing good in my physical health? Am I feeling in flow? The answer is yes. Cool. Keep doing what you're doing. My relationships. How is my relationship going? If you're in a relationship, in a romantic relationship, is that in a good place or a bad place? Do I need to do anything about it? Can I do anything about it? The answer might be yes or no. So we're just simply observing. Financial. Okay, what's going on financially? We're seeing financially, is it good? Is it bad? What's happening? Friendships. What else? Our own truth, our own path, our own purpose. What's going on there? Do I feel like I'm on purpose or am I just a fucking robot? Which one is it? I don't need to do anything. I just need to observe. What's next? We'll look at our, have I said friendships? Yeah, friendships, our family. How's my family looking? Like my mum, my dad, my sisters, my brothers, my uncles, aunties, whatever. What is the family dynamic? Am I happy about it? Am I not? No. So it's almost like a little wheel of life where you just observe your life and you look at the wheel of life and you're like, okay, cool. So if my finances are 10 out of 10, but my relationship is 1 out of 10, and then my health is 3 out of 10, and this is, for example, if that's a wheel and you put that wheel on a car, that car is not going to go very far. It's just going to be clunky and bumpy and it's going to feel yuck. So once you observe without any judgment, that's step one. We just simply observe and go, oh, wow, what's going on there? Cool. And then after we observe, we have to have this we sort of have to have this courage to go, what am I prepared to look at in my life and what am I actually prepared to work on? And ultimately where this goes is after you take some observation, the hardest part to do is once you realize your little wheel of life and you have a look around, and obviously this goes much deeper, but when you have a look around and you're like, okay, all right, so my relationship's fucked. Cool. What am I going to do about it? And then when you take a step back and you actually have the courage to observe that something's really shit in your life, and then you actually look at it from a total different lens, like it's almost like you take a step back and you have a look at the lens of your relationship, and then you you immediately can go into this place of, right, so in order for my relationship to be better, I need my partner to change. Or in order for well, not just, let's just use relationships. In order for my relationship to be better, I need my partner to be more loving. I need my partner to be this. I need my partner to be that. And you're putting conditions onto your partner, which are never going to be met because your partner is in her own lens or in their own lens or his own lens, and they're not going to know what you're thinking inside or what you want if you don't vocalize it. So then the next step is being able to talk your truth in a relationship. And when you're talking your truth, you're not talking your truth in a heated conversation or when emotions are elevated. You're talking your truth and you come into the party in a very simple, in a simple dynamic where it's set up and say you're saying, hey honey, whether it's your husband, your wife, or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, hey honey, do you know what, can we sit down and just have a really quick powwow, just have a conversation? And you sit down and you sit back and you're like, all right, look, I have to be honest. These are the things that I've been experiencing with us lately. How do you feel about that? Okay, great. So there's a discourse. And then is there a way, something we can do together, and you both put your heads together and you build a dynamic that's going to make the relationship better, and you have an end result in mind? So you both have a communal end result. For example, the communal end result is that we are a connected, loving couple, and we have incredible adventures and joy and fucking great sex and whatever together. Great. If that's the end goal, fucking perfect. And if you both put your head into that bucket and you work for it, it's going to be a pretty cool experience because you're both working towards that. And then you can realign each week and go, okay, are we getting closer to our end result or are we getting further away from it? Then you readjust and you move. With your health, okay, so let's say your health is, you're fucking eat like shit, you're not exercising, you're not doing any breath work, you're not doing any sort of anything basically to make yourself feel better, then you're going to have to look at it and you have to have a conversation with yourself and go, and doesn't involve anyone else, but ultimately with health, what usually happens is that you're having conversations with yourself, but you're not listening to yourself. So you're abandoning your own truth. You're betraying your own truth. And in a lot of these areas, whether it's relationship, whether it's health, whether it's food, whether it's your friendships, whether it's your work, your career, or your purpose, what's ultimately going on is if you're not experiencing your 10 out of 10 in that dynamic, the reason is because you are abandoning your truth or you are betraying your own self. You're betraying what it actually means to be you. And it's such a big there is such a big cost that comes with betraying yourself or abandoning your own truth. Because when you're abandoning your own truth, you're basically just pushing out the hurt factor. And as you push out the hurt factor, the more you push it away, the more it builds. So it's not just you're like pushing the same hurt away from you. As you're pushing the hurt, there's more constriction, there's more tension, and there's more shit that's built up. And as you're pushing it away, it's actually building and getting stronger and stronger. And so if you push something under the carpet and you want to deal with it tomorrow or the next day or whenever, you're going to have to deal with it in a much bigger, and it's going to be a lot more annoying than if you deal with it today. And so this is a big thing. And this is not about procrastination. This is about having courage to have a look at where you're betraying yourself and where you're abandoning your truth. And when we come into it, let's get back to health. If you're abandoning the joy of being able to feel healthy and being able to feel um, joyful and grateful about your body and move your body around and get some really cool stuff going on in your body and walk out of the house. This is one of the areas in my life where I reckon I've absolutely fucking nailed it. I'm 50 and I'm floating around like a butterfly. I feel fucking amazing. I do handstands, I do, forearm fucking stands, I do this and that and the other shit with my body. And I absolutely love my body and I'm so proud of myself for having the courage to get here because I don't abandon myself when it comes to my health. However, last night I had poker night with the boys, and I had look, not a massive night. I had like 5 beers, and then I pretty much had a whole fucking large pizza to myself. And man, when I woke up this morning, I felt like absolute shit, and I remembered why I don't do that much anymore. So it rarely happens. And you know what? It's fine to have a blowout. There's nothing wrong with having a blowout. And, once or twice a year, I'll even have a bigger blowout where I'll go out with the boys. Doesn't happen too often anymore. And, yeah, have a fucking good time. And I know that I'm going to pay for it the next day or two, but whatever. Once or twice a year, more than happy to go do that. But other than that, 99% of the time, I'm so in touch with my body. I love my body. I love my spine. I love my hips. I love every part of my body, and I know what I can do, and I'm going to keep fucking doing it because it's cool. So this is coming from someone that has already been through the pain of getting in touch with my body when it comes to health. Guys, friendships, my God, such an important thing to have close friends in your life, and not bullshit friends, but close friends that can actually look you in the eye and go, mate, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Get your shit together and pull your fucking pants up and let's go. What do you have to do? So you want those people in your life, not people that are just going to piss in your pocket or people that are going to zap and suck your energy. None of that. Anyway, so you get the gist, right? We covered relationships, health, and or being in touch with your body or whatever, and friendships, but all the other stuff that we spoke about as well. So then you have the observation, which is you're just observing what's going on in your life. Then you have a look at it and you go, right, what am I prepared to do? What are the things that I can do? And this is a very fine line because the things that you can do are there's a very fine line between doing them from an egoic place or doing them from a place of trying to what's the word? Trying to get something, or run away from negativity, because then you're just going to fall in a heap anyway. So we'd want to do things because we're striving towards an end result, which, like, ultimately, the end result is just an emotion. So we're striving towards feeling an emotion of gratitude, or we're striving towards the emotion of feeling abundant and healthy, or we're feeling the emotion of love and intimacy. So that's ultimately what we're striving towards. And it's quite easy to create those emotions, even if you're not in a place where your conditions allow you to feel that yet. You can experience those emotions, and emotions are the number one thing that if you don't have control over your emotions, it's going to be a really, really long road forward. So the number one thing that I always tell people to do, and even myself, guys, I struggle with this shit all day. Well, not all day, but I struggle with this shit on a daily basis. We all do. So even though I'm here coaching others and telling others not telling others what to do, but coaching others and helping others and whatnot, at the same point, I can only coach and help people in what I've moved through myself. So I move through these on a daily basis. And with the emotional aspect, when you go down a rabbit hole of feeling like shit, you've got to catch yourself very fucking quickly, because that rabbit hole can get very, very deep. And so this is where, so we do the observation, we have a look at our high motorbike outside. Well, I'm sure you guys heard that, and fucking cool motorbike. I just saw it out the window. We get into the observation, we do the blah, 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 blah. Yeah, the questioning, what am I prepared to do, what am I, and then you go into this scenario of the actual emotional aspect. So you have to take control of your emotions, and the way that you do that is by asking yourself really deep questions. And you start asking yourself, what has been my involvement in creating this situation? It's a big question. What has been my involvement in creating this situation? When you can ask deeper questions like that, you get the answer. And I spoke about this before in my in the last episode about automatic writing. These are such great tools to go into. The automatic writing, I do that almost on a daily basis, and it's pulled me out of some really deep rabbit hole ruts. And you've got to do writing. You just have to. It has to be a daily thing, whether it's a sentence, a paragraph, or whatever it is. And then where was I going with it? Yeah, so when you have the ability to take control of your emotions, then you become a very masterful life practitioner. When you have the overall view of your emotions, where you're in control of where your emotions go and where you choose to put those emotions. So, for example, if you're in a relationship that is totally fucked up at the moment, and it's two separate people fighting their own demons, and the chance of them coming together and meeting in the middle is very, very minimal. So if you're one of those people that you know that you're in some sort of dynamic that is totally fucked up, the, in that situation, well, first off, you ask yourself, what's been my involvement in creating this situation? And it's a genuine question, because if you're feeling something obscure, if you're feeling something that's not doing well in your life, or something that's really messed up in your life, I guarantee you've had a hand in creating that in your life. So you look at it, you observe it, and then you ask yourself, well, okay, so if I'm experiencing this, what is it that I'd rather experience? What is it that I ultimately want to experience? What's the end goal? What's the end result that I want to experience? And once you know what your end result looks like, you've done all the work. Like 90% of the work is done once you know your end result. If you don't know your end result in a relationship, in your health, with your friendships, with your career, with your purpose, if you don't know your end result, you are fucked. There is no chance, because you've got no north. You don't know where north is, and you don't know which way to move. So you have to know, you have to find out. And this is one of the best places where people can help, like coaches. This is where we can really help in allowing people to uncover what their true north is, their true end results are. And it's up to up to people that are going to help you to um to 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 untangle and pull out of you what your true north is. And then once you know that, fuck, it gets so exciting, because once you know your true north, then uh then, well, first off, you know where you're going, and two, you start to see how all the things in your life that don't match that true north or that end result, they don't fucking belong in your life. So if you start going into the energy, or into the emotion of who you really are because your purpose or your ultimate end result, what you want to create for yourself, that's totally in line with your soul. So if those two are in line and you're feeling the emotion of that end result, then all these things in your life that don't make sense, they will naturally fall away. You don't even have to do anything, because if you go into the energy of your end result and the emotion of your end result, then all these things are, they're just done. They just don't even fucking belong. I mean, do they? It's just a no-brainer that these things just don't have no place in the energy or the emotion of your true end result. And so one of two things starts to happen. One is those things will naturally fall away. It might take a month, it might take 6 months, it might take a year, but the more you stay in the focus or in the energy of your end result or into the emotion of what you want or where your true north is, the quicker those things start to fall away. So they either fall away and you never see them again, whether it's people or careers or situations, or you literally magically start to see these people, these careers, these situations start to mold and mesh and bubble and blah, 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 into exactly what you want. And they'll magic. It's like magic. I'm telling you, it's like fucking magic. Even with your health, when you start to move into the true energy of where you want to head in terms of your health of your body can lose weight so much quicker when you're in the true emotion of your end result. And this is where the true untangling effect happens, because most of the untangling that happens, it happens before. And untangling, it's almost funny enough, I do this with my clients, but it almost becomes irrelevant by the time you get to the point where you can really get into the energy of or that emotion of who you are in your truth. That emotion feels so incredible. It fucking gives you goosebumps. It really does when you're in the true energy of who you really are, and in the your true essence, your true soul. You know you're there when you get goosebumps. And I've sort of got I got a few goosebumps now because I'm so passionate about it. I'm so passionate about, one, when I land in this point, but two, I'm so passionate about when clients get that holy shit moment, and I'm just an observer going, wow, this is fucking going on, come on. And so yeah, when you get into the that, and you start to feel where you're heading, and you start to pull yourself towards your true north, then you look back at the untangling process, and you're like, wow, man, I I literally had nothing to fix. So you don't even have to fix anything. You don't have to do any childhood trauma work, and that will naturally out like those things will naturally come up. I'm not saying don't do trauma work, and obviously if you've experienced trauma, by all means, like, please look at it. But what I'm saying is these things become so irrelevant when you're landed and you're grounded and you know where you're heading, because those little not little, but the things that you experienced earlier in your life when you were untangling, and you're learning all these rules and all this shit, man, you look back and you're like, why didn't I just do this 20 years ago, when uh, I realized that really, to create anything in my life, all I have to do is step into the true energy of it. And then that's where it becomes super exciting. But there's a caveat, because in order for you, in order for me, in order for all of us to finally land in this place, what we ultimately have to do is to release the shackles. And releasing the shackles takes courage. And it's almost like you get an axe, and all that shit that's in front of you that you feel like is stopping you from moving to where you are, you get the axe and you smash that chain and you let it go. It's such a beautiful feeling. And this is not one of those things where you have these moments of letting go and you're like, oh my God, I'm free, because you keep getting pulled back in. So there's a number of times that you have to release the shackles. It happens, and the more you grow, the more shackles you have to release. And it keeps happening, it keeps pushing, and you keep getting brought back. So this is where the true untangling method, or the true untangling process is happening throughout our growth, because as we're growing, we're untangling at the same time. We're growing a little bit and then we're untangling. We're growing a little bit and then we're untangling. And each time we grow, we go, oh my God, this whole untangling shit is so fucking irrelevant. And then, and then you have a fucking little laugh at yourself, but then you grow again and then here comes again. We have to untangle again. So I actually don't think that this ever stops. I think it just gets easier. It really does. I mean, I think this whole life thing, it just gets easier because you know that the untangling is a part of the growth, and you know that the growth is part of the untangling. But if ultimately we don't have the courage to look at at what's actually going on in our life, that's where it stops. So this is where the I guess where the caveat is like, for example, I had I've had a couple of coaching clients that have come on board that have either not shown up for their session, or they show up but they're totally just they're picking up their phone. I'm like, dude, the fuck are you doing? Like, get rid of your phone. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're checking emails when we're talking about your life. What are you doing? And there were, like, there's ones that haven't shown up in the last couple of weeks. I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to force you to become anyone. It's like, just fucking show up for yourself. This is about you. Like, you're the one that contacted me. I don't need you to come and see me. I don't, like, I'm here to help. Let's fucking go. I would love you. I'll take you through the process and watch you strive and grow. But man, what, like, these little things, and they happen, and it is what it is. But you have to show up for yourself, guys. You really do. Look, as you guys know, I'm so honest in my own life. I am a fuck up in a lot of areas in my life, but I have a very clear observation of where I am a fuck up. And I know that those things happen, or they don't happen, but I know that those things, I observe those things, I'm aware of them. And then when I'm in those situations, when I have the opportunity to grow, I do. I don't fall back into the same old patterns. Have I worked everything out in my life? Fuck no, absolutely not. I wouldn't even dream of telling you that I've got all my shit worked out. But I'm so on path. I'm untangling and growing. I'm untangling, growing, untangling and growing, and I'm doing it. And it's just about starting that process. And if you never start the process, it will be so disappointing, so fucking disappointing if you never start that process. You just, it's such a fun game where you're moving through this stuff, and you're in, and you realize yourself that there's growth, and then you fall back, and then you fall sideways, and then you move forward. You're like, this could be it. And then you fall back, and then you find a little bit more gold, and then you're this way, that way. Oh my God, what a fucking process. But what a life it is. Like, man, pretty much just life in itself is not for the faint-hearted, is it? Man, it's just crazy. But look, ultimately, this untangling process that that it's the observation, it's the having the courage to look and ask yourself the question, it's the emotional aspect, taking control of your emotions, and then finding out what your true north is and moving forward. And then once you find your true north, then the untangling keeps moving and the growth keeps happening, and you've got to stay on path, and you've got to stay courageous, and you've got to keep showing up for yourself. You got to keep re-choosing yourself on a daily basis. Big courage, big emotions rolling through, and then other people are coming in and they're trying to stop you. And man, if you don't abandon yourself through this process, you will have such a fucking cool experience of growth and learning more about yourself. And I reckon we're done. What do you reckon? Like, I mean, I've got more to say, but I reckon we're done, guys. I reckon I fucking love you, and we'll talk soon. If you need to know anything else, just check out my website, tommykende.com. And if you're liking this podcast and liking this episode, please feel free to share. I would really appreciate you sharing. It just helps to get the word out, especially now because I've restarted the podcast. So I'm basically rebuilding the magic, baby. So guys, thank you for staying consistent with me. Show up for yourself. Be strong, be solid, and stay consistent. Love you, and I'll see ya on the next episode. Tommy Kende signing out.